Thank you for auditing Professor Skye's Record Review, the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who was just torn apart by a more popular YouTuber. Punk Rock MBA, who has a very good channel, talks about music, used me, your little professor, as the perfect example of the kind of rap fan that he calls NPR rap fans. In this video, he described how there are certain people who don't really like hip-hop, but just select certain artists that are sort of intellectually acceptable, that pass the kind of sniff test of some kind of faux intellectual, some kind of upper class, bourgeois, NPR listening, tote bag toting person who'd say, well, I don't really like rap, but I do like Kendrick Lamar. I do like Run the Jewels. And somehow, this extremely much more popular YouTuber found my video for Run the Jewels and used that intro to exemplify this kind of fake rap fan. Now, if you're an auditor of mine, you know that I love hip-hop. I love all kinds of hip-hop. And at the end of the video, I'm going to do a blistering response. I'm gonna go after Punk Rock MBA and destroy him in revenge. But before I get there, I have to admit that today's video might prove his point a little bit. I'm afraid that the new album by Lupe Fiasco and Kaelin Ellis, House, is in fact an artistic masterpiece. It does actually do a lot of things that a lot of people who consider themselves to be very smart and very intellectual, it does the things that those people like. This is, without a doubt, great art. And I don't mean great rap music, great hip-hop. It is those things as well. But this is doing something that very few albums do, period. And so this isn't really a hip-hop review saying, well, this is good rap because it's smart. Rap is always smart. I'm saying this is great music because it is art, and it is consciously art. This album, I'm going to be spending most of the time on the lyrics. And what it does is it does something that very few artists are able to do very successfully, where he's communicating something and you're never quite sure exactly what his point is. He's not delivering a message. He's not saying like, this is what I think. This is what you should think. He's putting things out there and he's doing it in a way where it's satirical and ironic and not satirical and not ironic. It's sort of earnest and sarcastic at the same time. And it is absolutely amazing. I mean, it's a 22-minute album. I think I've listened to it 5 times now. I can't stop listening to it, and it just gets deeper. And what I've discovered is that it's actually an amazingly unified album around a couple themes, and I'm going to get into them in a second. I realized when I was looking through my pages of notes that I didn't talk about the music even once. And this album is apparently a COVID collaboration between Lupe Fiasco, the Chicago area rapper, who, by the way, I'd never really paid attention to Lupe Fiasco. So that was my bad. My ex-wife told me that he's really great. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. And I just never listened. Maybe that was why, I don't think so. But I just never listened. So this is my real first introduction to Lupe Fiasco. And Kaelin Ellis is the producer. And, you know, they just traded tracks back and forth. And so I want to spend at least a minute here talking about the music, because the lyrics take up so much space, are so wonderful, that the music itself is probably just as good. But it's much more muted, it's a lot less flashy. So I'm going to play you just the very end of this album, of this 22-minute EP. And I'm going to play you the part where Lupe Fiasco says, stay in the house, which is one of the themes of the album, where in COVID you have to stay in the house, but also the themes of what is a house and what is a home come up very soon. And then we hear the music. So this will just get you set. This is the backdrop against which all of these great lyrics are being played. What I want you to listen for are like the kind of like junky drum beats, you know, like drum beats that kind of like fall apart and come back together. Interesting choices of actual drums to play. Like there's the bell of a hi-hat opening and closing, really quite nice. Really cool kind of languid guitar, steady bass, but the whole thing kind of like you're kind of going like that. The whole album, like the music is going like this, and then the rapping is very steady right on top of it. So it's almost like a polyrhythm that seems to go on, or so at least an emotional polyrhythm. Jesus Christ, what does that mean? Forget that. I gotta stop improvising everything. But what I'm saying is they're not quite in the same register. The lyrics are not stilted, but the music is, and it creates a very nice effect. So let's just listen to that, just so you get the soundscape going as I talk about all of these amazing lyrics.
And all those who have passed during this time. Stay in the house.
So I hope that gives you a sense of what it sounds, kind of downbeat, a little bit jazzy, a little bit funky, but mostly just, the term I just keep coming up with is kind of like just sloppy and junky on purpose. Great. I got the music out of the way. Now let's talk about this great art. Let's talk about what this is doing. It all begins with the first track, Made, which is a pun. It's a French pun. How happy is this French professor right now? It's a pun between homemade and the French word for man, which is H-O-M-M-E. So it's all about what is man-made. And it has an appearance and a guest vocal by Virgil Abloh. If you don't know Virgil Abloh, he's a very important figure in hip-hop, a very important figure in society in general. He is currently running Louis Vuitton. He is an African-American. I guess he was discovered by Kanye, and there was some kind of beef there, and they love each other. I don't quite know what. But he's sort of the most important representation of this kind of dream of street fashion and high fashion exchanging and becoming where the world of high fashion now understands that the most dominant, the most important force in all of fashion is hip-hop music. And Virgil Abloh represents the recognition by the authorities of fashion that that is the case. It's no longer Mugatu, right? That's a Zoolander reference, if you've seen it. So he is also, it turns out, a very interesting and very philosophical guy. And he starts off this whole speech. And I'm going to end up reading to you a lot of lyrics because this whole album is about the difference between that which is man-made and that which is made by nature. I might say God-made, although there's no religion in this album whatsoever. But, you know, the natural and the man-made. We'll just leave it there. The natural and the man-made. And this album is mostly about what is man-made and what is the importance of that which is man-made. Again, if there was a rock album, or a prog rock album, or anything, I mean, if there's any album at this level of complexity, I would be falling all over myself talking about how exciting it is. One of the things that hip-hop does, and I've been saying this a lot lately, is it gives rappers a lot of space to talk about things, a lot of words to get out. And that does matter, because if you're a punk band or a rock band and you're trying to say something, you've only got, 500 words in your whole song. Hip-hop, they can do 500 words just in one verse. Okay, so let me read to you some of Virgil Abloh's intro here, okay? Have you ever asked yourself where the world is in the solar system, like where we are? It's a super brain freeze, he says. But an easier question is to ask of yourself, where do we sit in the sea of art history? That's tangible, that's man-made. Okay, this is great. Art history. That was one of my majors in college. I really encourage people to study art history. I don't think you're educated if you're not bilingual and if you haven't studied art history. Just that's how I feel. But art history is great because by framing the idea that art history is everything that is man-made, he's ensuring that fashion that he makes and also hip-hop, which we are listening to now, fits within the context of art history. Right? We can go back to the caves of Lascaux in France, 17,000 BC, and see the weird drawing of a man maybe hunting and not really being able to figure out what it is. You know, we can go through the medieval ages and the Renaissance and all through that, and we can see that the value of any art, architecture, fashion, anything made by man, is its ability to represent what, and I'm going to say man-made, I mean humanity, but man-made is the term here. It's unfortunately gendered historical term. That which is man-made has its own importance and its own significance. And unlike things which are natural, we can comprehend that which is man-made. So this is very important. And this is part of the entire album. That we can't understand where we are in the stars, but we do understand where we are in art history. and to listen to rap music, okay? Truly, to listen to rap music, to listen to any culture, is doing essentially the same thing that we're doing when we study Andy Warhol, or when we look at Gardner's Art Through the Ages, or when we take an art history class. How do these things reflect the people that make them? How is the reality of existence, the deeper reality of existence? Not like the, covalent bonds inside of a nucleus, right? Like the things that we can understand. How does that reflected in the art that we're listening to? So, okay, Lupe Fiasco. We're 2 minutes in here, and I'm already talking about art history and French cave paintings, all right? Great. Where does he go next? This album, 22 minutes. Just do yourself a favor. Listen, take some time out of your day. Open up the lyrics on rapgenius.com, okay? Read the lyrics, listen to the music at the same time. Pause and appreciate and love and listen to what's going on here. The next track is called Dinosaurs. Perfect example of what I was talking about. What the hell is he doing? Like, is this a joke? The whole song is about dinosaurs. It's just talking about dinosaurs. What the hell is some rapper doing talking about dinosaurs? What? And he's talking like he's talking to a kid. He's like trying to explain what dinosaurs were like. And what's amazing is the sophistication and the success with which he delivers a very sophisticated message, which I will not be able to explain for you clearly. I will not be able to tell you with any level of certainty. This is Lupe Fiasco's thesis. He is not delivering one message. He is doing what a lot of great artists do. He is delivering something that allows it to be open to interpretation. By constantly talking about the truth of dinosaurs, okay? The truth about dinosaurs in the past, that's one thing he talks about. The next thing he talks about is the truth of dinosaurs in the present. Where are they now? How do we study them? And then on the third, it's what are dinosaurs in pop culture? Like, he talks about, like, Jurassic Park. He talks about the Flintstones. So he's comparing these three things, and he's going in between them seamlessly. There's no break in between them. He'll go from one to the other, to the other, to the other. And what is he doing it for? Well, I go back to my original explanation. That which is man-made, that which is natural. He is using the natural world as a metaphor, and it's a pretty standard extinction metaphor, like this is how dinosaurs were, this is how they lived, and now they're not here anymore, and maybe a little reminder that human beings might be gone at some point too. But also using it as a way to express the silliness with which, and the seriousness, in the way that humans express natural realities like dinosaurs. I'm gonna read you some of these lyrics and go through it. It's just that good. I hope it's somewhat engaging seeing me read lyrics. You can at least look at Bane in the background. And if you've listened to the album, you know why he's there. Dinosaurs came in all colors. They were creatures with different features. They had teeth to eat you, they made beds called nests, and laid eggs after they had sex. When my wife overheard this, she was just laughing. She's like, is he joking? I'm like, yes, no. Whether they ate plants or meat is how you could divide them, and the Flintstones they used to ride them, with tails particularly good for sliding. But in real life, it probably didn't go down like that. Rawr. They probably didn't sound like that, but maybe close. So he's already describing like the way that we can divide dinosaurs, which is consciously, I believe, a comment about the way we divide each other by race, right? But he's just kind of throwing it in there and then making a reference to the Flintstones. Okay? They probably didn't sound like that, and they probably didn't roar. If we are to believe Noah, they didn't know how to make boats, and they drowned like that. Flintstones in the Bible completely equated man-made attempts to understand nature, right? Via paleontology, fossily is how they mostly found like that. Bones in the stones, that's if you soil dig, but if you oil rig, they warm up the homes, power up the cars. So here we go to the past reality of dinosaurs as a vibrant living source of life on Earth, and we're now transformed into the what are dinosaurs now. They're found by paleontology, and either they are in museums or they are just chewed up and consumed and spit out to make oil, to make fossil fuels. It's all the reality of dinosaurs. It's the complete reality of dinosaurs. It is the comprehensive song about dinosaurs and humanity. because we see all of the ways that this little reality, this natural reality that existed on Earth, the ways that we use that natural reality for ourselves, and the way that we represent that reality over here. In Jurassic Park, it was a zone full of clones. They say death came from the stars. An asteroid flew down and blowed up the grown, and babies too, the whole family, the entire Brady crew, bit the dust like food from the floor. It's weird, whenever he makes like witty little punchlines like that, I actually think it cheapens his music. I don't know. Just, I'll kind of skip ahead here. They ran in packs, brontosauruses ran in herds, pterodactyl was the birds. Keeps on going. Come hit up the museum if you want to hang with us, but mostly just skeletons. Now, if you want to use brain cave space as a metric for intelligence, then Tyrannosaurus Rex wasn't the smartest of the smartest. You wouldn't want to box with a short arm, but you wouldn't want to box with a short-armed carnivorous martial artist. You ain't got to be the sharpest saw to slice the sausage, or the largest ninja star in all of Harlem to carve a part in a target, if we argon. Again, just that's where he's showing off his ability to go between different flows. He hits a much more rapid flow there. And this whole kind of concept of like, Tyrannosauruses were dumb, but they didn't need to be dumb to do what they need to do. This is a beautiful point, and I don't know exactly what he's getting at here. The beauty of this album. I don't always know exactly what he's getting at here. But it seems as though, it's a simple statement, that if we see a deficiency in a creature, it may be that that deficiency doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that the Tyrannosaurus Rex was dumb because it was so efficient at being a hunter. Just great. Then it goes on with this. Some were small, some were tall, some would crawl, some would fly. It's like he's reading a children's book, like this children's book about Bane and Batman. But we gotta thank them all, because without them all, we wouldn't have the malls of Dubai. Okay, so like, Dubai has money from oil, so that's why those malls exist, but that's also a general statement that without dinosaurs, our stupid, ridiculous consumer culture couldn't exist. Without fossil fuels, we could not have the stupid, just the petty, small, we couldn't waste the beauty of existence on petty commercial consumer culture without the dinosaurs. That's what he's saying in that line. Damn it. NPR rap. It's not my fault. It's not my fault that hip-hop is the smartest music right now, right? It's not my fault that it's the most politically interesting music right now, you know? It's not my fault that hip-hop is the most interesting thing that has happened in my lifetime, you know? What am I supposed to do, just ignore it? Just only talk about Andy Warhol? He's wicked dead. All right. But we got to thank them all, because without them we wouldn't have the malls of Dubai. But they also kind of gave us climate change. I ain't trying to blame, I'm just saying. So again, what is the reality of dinosaurs now is they created climate change, because fossil fuels is what leads to climate change. Tying together in with the meteors, right? So the thing that extinguished the dinosaurs. And then we took the extinguished dinosaurs and are going to use that to extinguish our life here. Our ridiculous cultural life that makes the Flintstones and the Power Rangers. It's all here together in this silly song to a kid about what dinosaurs are. Sometimes they go by science names, Megalosauridea or Sauropodomorpha, or whatever you want to call them. Whether it be Grimlock, Yoshi, or Earl Sinclair, remember at one time the whole world was theirs. So he does exactly what I've been saying the whole time. He gives the scientific names, and then he talks about a dinosaur from the Transformers, a dinosaur from Super Mario, a dinosaur from the 80s TV show Dinosaurs. And he manages to bring them all together in this end part to make this vague, beautiful, wonderful statement about human beings' creations, about human beings' adopting of the natural world, and the way that the natural world will ultimately end us the same way it ended the dinosaurs. NPR rap. It's too smart for NPR, right? NPR is just mostly just smug people agreeing with each other. University rap. God damn. You need a PhD to understand this. PhD in French literature. Okay, the next track. Another very mysterious one. In the same way, like, is he joking? Is he serious? Is he not? It's called, oh, Dane. Oh, I fell over. Mr. Payne. Okay, I'll get to Bane in a second. So this is like the word models backwards. And this whole song, much like one of my favorite hip hop songs in the past, Handsome Boy Modeling School's self-titled track, Handsome Boy Modeling School, is all about the value of modeling and how if you need a job, why not get a job as a model? Lupe Fiasco, what register are you rapping in? Are you being sarcastic or not? Is this irony or not? The answer is yes. It is both ironic and not ironic. It is completely talking about how great it is to be a model, verse after verse after verse, explaining why you should be a model. You know, flexible job, and you get to do lots of things, meet lots of people, and be your own boss. But then the catchy chorus is, have you thought of modeling, making money, using your body to sell things on the internet? So the whole time that he's talking about how great it is to model, yay modeling, yay modeling, yay modeling, have you thought about using your body to sell things on the internet? He takes the whole profession of modeling and makes it completely stupid. Going back over here to the just ridiculousness and the emptiness of our consumer culture. Have you thought about modeling, using your body to sell things on the internet? So what is he really trying to get at? Well, I think he's trying to get at, once again, the confrontation of the man-made and the natural. The natural is the human body, right? We just exist and we can show our bodies and be beautiful. You know, one time I was approached to be a model in France for a Finnish phone company. But then she never called me back. I think she was trying to pick me up. That was a weird time. Whole nother story. Anyways, you can be a model just by using your natural body. But what do you use it for? Use it for something stupid, selling things on the internet. And I'll get to more examples that he gives there too. Much like the dinosaurs, they're over here, but what are we using the dinosaurs for? The malls in Dubai, we're using them to be able to ship units of Grimlock toys for Transformers, right? We're turning them into plastic over here to make Super Mario Brothers, okay? Like this is the same kind of process that's happening again. But maybe it's also about the futility of creating itself, because modeling is a somewhat creative profession. And is this what Virgil Abloh, the person who's all over this album, is this what he's doing? Is this what he's contributing to the world? Using people's bodies to sell things on the internet. Is that all art is? Using our bodies to sell things on the internet. What is Lupe Fiasco doing? Using his body, his brain, his mouth to sell things on the internet. God damn it, I just realized that right now. We're all models. This whole thing is about having a profession at all. What is the point of having a profession at all? Of creating anything at all? It is to sell things on the internet. Lupe, what have I been doing the last 20 years while you've been releasing albums? I've been a bitter ex-husband. It's okay. It's good to know your weaknesses and be open with them. So I'm going to read you some of the lyrics from here that show this, because the way that he delivers it too is very upbeat and very childlike. Like he just sort of like raps things like, you could do this and you could do that, and dinosaurs like this, and modeling is like that. This video is now longer than the album, by the way. Congratulations. It's not even half done. In the beginning, though, he also makes a reference to the roots, and then like he gets a little bit too cute. I don't like it when he gets too cute or too clever. I like it when he's like not doing wordplay, but when he's at this sort of higher level than that, but that's fine. Here he is talking about modeling. You ain't gotta get automatically naked. You can be real selective, be real protective. As many different ways that you can model these days and be real respected and still keep your ethics. Non-erotic pose, still wearing all your clothes. Let's take a little trip where modern modeling goes. So I would say this is about being an artist as well. You don't have to sell out. You don't have to do all these crass things. Look at the ways that you can sell things on the internet. Like I'm selling things on the internet. I mean, I'm not making money, but I'm making money for Google. You're welcome, Google. Let's take a trip to where modern modeling goes. You'd be surprised. There's Muslim women that just be modeling eyes. McDonald's models that be modeling fries. Look at these. Buy some from me, please. Oh, you're such a tease. Oh, with extra cheese. Just beautiful. Funny, true, two levels always at once. This dumb, is this guy just talking about modeling? And then this other level of like, how deep is he getting? And I think the answer is just as deep as you can imagine, as deep as art gets. Really. This is art history. This album is an art history album. Okay. And then also he just happens to throw in, but look out, you might end up in a human trafficking ring. Like he just kind of throws that in, and that's another peril that we have of doing things on the internet. Then we get to another song, which is two songs, called Shoes. Where are we, Lupe? What? Okay, it's two songs. The first song is Lupe Fiasco talking about waiting in line to buy exclusive sneakers. If you are not aware, there's a trend in the world of exclusive sneakers being sold for high prices in limited numbers to people called sneakerheads. Sneakerheads wait in line for hours, camping out, like Star Wars fans used to do. Camping out, waiting to be the first in line to be able to buy shoes for $150 that they can then go and sell on the internet for probably $500. Most of them are doing it for that profit, I imagine. Most of the people in line because profit sucks. Some people do it because of their love of collecting shoes, their appreciation of artistry, and the kind of capitalistic mania that overcomes you when you get into this kind of collecting system of fabricated rarity and you buy into it. And I'm talking about this as a participant in fabricated rarity. I grew up collecting baseball cards. I currently have the world's best Chewbacca collection upstairs in my guest room. I believe in collecting. But it's a song about like wanting to buy shoes and being in line, but it talks about the way, it talks about it in a totally human way. It's not about buying things and getting money and winning over somebody else. It talks about the solidarity of this event, of being in line with other sneakerheads and being the envy of the other people. Because as he says, I got one of those 3-leg folding chairs. I am what you call prepared for the camp out. Evening brings the battery-powered lamps out. Warm clothes, but a blanket because it gets cold. He's talking about the solidarity that exists in our hyper-capitalist society, in our ridiculously profit-driven, money-driven society. What could represent the sort of corruption and grossness of modern capitalism better than people waiting in line just to make a $100 profit on a pair of shoes that were made by slaves in China that are worth $5? It's gross. It's bad. Bad capitalism. Bad capitalism. But at the same time, there's beauty and there's solidarity in the line. He talks about a white guy ahead of him who lets him go on the theory that that's the least he can do for centuries of oppression. Like, not really bad capitalism, because what can overcome bad capitalism? The unification of human beings. I mean, existentialists will tell us that the only way to find meaning in the absurdity of existence is understanding our common death, right? And finding solidarity between humans is the only way to find meaning in our meaningless existence. Waiting in line 24 hours to buy shoes is a waste of existence, except, and I'm going to quote him here, even the line feels like a team. Stark opposition to a competition for things. On the one hand, this song, Shoes, is about the triumph of human solidarity in the face of a dehumanizing, hyper-capitalistic society. God damn it, Lupe Fiasco. Is all of his stuff this good? If you're a Lupe Fiasco fan, you're going, what's wrong with this guy? Could you please tell me what makes him so great? What else makes him great in the comments? Because this is just blowing my mind. This is so good. This is so good. So on the one hand, you have that. This weird thing where you want to criticize them. And I experience the same thing, by the way. I collect Star Wars toys. It's a competition. Thousands of dollars are at stake here. But my best friends that I've made as an adult are people who I compete with to buy Star Wars toys. A friend of mine from England died 2 weeks ago. He was the other big Chewbacca collector for a couple years. You know, but like I knew him. I cared about him. I helped him. Even though we were just doing this stupid thing over here, like competing for resources and spending money on frivolous garbage. The triumph of humanity, the triumph of existence, was in that connection that we were able to make. And when he passed and I shed a tear, it was a real tear. That's what the song's about. So, sort of. What's the second part about? The second part of the song exists parallel. Virgil Abloh back again. The creative designer of Louis Vuitton, who also started his own fashion line called Off-White, which is one of these brands that people would line up for hours to buy their sneakers. Off-White is a streetwear brand, and what they're famous for is like having shoelaces and writing the word shoelaces on the shoelaces. Having a shoe and writing the word shoe on the shoe. Having a shirt and writing the word shirt on my shirt. Professor on my professor. Banana on my banana, okay? I know it's tilted. I'm sorry. I'll fix it by next video, maybe. So he made these kinds of shoes. If you are a sneakerhead, you've waited in line to buy some Off-Whites from Virgil Abloh. So he talks about designing a shoe. He talks about designing a shoe for Ahmaud Arbery, the jogger who was shot to death by white nationalists 2 months ago. One of the great causes, one of the great people behind Black Lives Matter. Someone essentially lynched, just shot in the street for absolutely no reason except for racially motivated reasons in the South, and he was jogging. So what does Virgil Abloh do? He designs a shoe for Ahmaud Arbery, Air Aubreys, he calls them. And he goes on and on. A beautiful thing where he talks about the soul. And he's like, but you know, I'm talking about the soul, you know, the thing that connects us to the ground and that allows us to fly. So he talks about the soul and the soul of the shoe. It sounds kind of cheesy the way I'm saying it, but it's really not. He really goes into it and talks about the nature of this shoe and how the soul has to be able to withstand so much. And it's a very deep concept. So at the same time as we have the triumph of humanity, okay? We have the triumph of humanity by waiting in line and the solidarity that can be found in the silliest places. We also have the complete failure of humanity by mentioning Arbery and being killed for no reason and being constantly reminded of this senseless murder. All of it in the concept wrapped around the idea of shoes, a man-made thing, which in this case can represent the heights of our success and the depths of our depravity. This one man-made object. God damn, Lupe Fiasco. I told you, art, history, all music belongs in art history. It does. It should all be considered in that. Because what Abloh was saying in the beginning is that anything that is man-made, we can understand. We just have to try. We have to try to understand it. And this song, Shoes, fits right in there, in that idea of how much it can represent just by a shoe. At the end of the song, you have in your mind a vision. Like he describes, I'm going to sign it, Virgil Abloh in quotes, oh, there's a red zip tie on the thing, it makes it our own. That was the trademark of Off-White. It's tied into a history of art that is now copyright 2020. So you are now in line with Lupe Fiasco, waiting to buy the Air Aubreys made by Virgil Abloh. The whole pageantry of existence and humanity is with you while you are waiting in line with these great beats made by Kaelin Ellis. This is what music can do. I'm sorry, punk rock MBA, if I'm sounding too flourishy. I do also talk about Lil Pump. I do. I like Lil Pump. There's nothing wrong with Lil Pump. Lil Pump deserves to be treated with as much respect and seriousness as this. It's a little bit less fruitful when you give it that level of seriousness. Whereas this, Then we end the last track, LF95, where he actually describes how the beat was made, how the song was made. Again, going back to the general concept of this entire album, what is a house? Virgil Abloh tells you a house is where everything is man-made, everything in here, something that I can understand because it was made and put together, except for that plant. And it all comes together with how is a song made. And he describes how he got the beat, how he did the screen recording, how he imported it into GarageBand, how he started rapping over it. He is taking you through the process of making a song, the same way on the previous song, Virgil Abloh took you through how you make a shoe. They're all united in the process of what is man-made. And what do we do with our existence but make things and hopefully find some level of human solidarity, especially with the people with whom you live and who you love. There's an amazing line here that shows his ability to write rhymes at a very, very high level. And again, this high and low mixture, right? The vulgar and the profane. I mean, the profane and the sacred, right? He's able to match those quite well. He talks about two rappers who died recently, or at least one of them who died recently. I did like 5 minutes of research on Genius looking at some of these lyrics are about, but I didn't want to taint my thinking too much. At least one of them died of COVID, right? And apparently Lupe Fiasco does an Instagram live every day telling people just to stay home. So that's great. So he says, rest in peace, Fred. Rest in peace, Verses. Rest in peace. I hope you both wrapped around some wings like the recipe at Church's. So Church's is a fried chicken restaurant. So I hope you are wrapped around wings like Church's. So he's taking a very sacred image of angels in wings. He's talking about two dead people, hoping that they are wrapped in wings like chicken, like fried chicken. I hope you are like two pieces of fried chicken, my dear people, who I'm trying to honor through my words, the sacred and the profane coming together at the same time, which again is another great thing that art can do. Levels. He just throws in the word levels there. I'll explain to you why in a second. Y'all were both two-piece specials. So when you order fried chicken at a restaurant, you can often get a two-piece special, which is 2 pieces of chicken for a lower price. And then he says, peace, peace. Saying peace to both of them, as in rest in peace. Go in peace up to God, up to heaven, because you are angels. But also, you are a 2-piece special because I am saying peace to both of you. But also, you are just 2 pieces of chicken. Remember when I said the levels thing is going to come back? He says levels, and that indicates that he's telling you, okay, there's multiple levels to this. Don't worry, I'm not calling human beings fried chicken. I'm calling them angels, and I'm making a bigger metaphor. He says levels, and then he starts off the next verse with, that might have been too deep for the devils. So the one line begins with levels, and then then 2 lines later it ends with that. So we're in this Evels like rhyme scheme. Like Evels is the thing we keep hearing. Evels, that's what we're going to be rhyming with from here on out. But he started it at the beginning of a line a couple lines ago. Too deep for the devils, should have never given us shovels. So he mispronounces shovels as shovels. Who are the devils in this case? I don't think it's, me. I don't think it's Whitey. I think it's just bad people who don't understand, people who, racists, or people who are trying to keep other people down. Maybe white supremacists, or just society trying to keep us down. The devils that keep you down. Because you should be up in heaven. But this was too deep. This was too deep for the devils, the bad people down below. But you never should have given us shovels. Indicating that what he's able to do is actually dig deep and go deep lyrically in a way that while going down, he is actually bringing his art and those that he loves and that he cares about up. Should have never given us shovels. Don't kick pebbles at rebels without schedules. Evels. Don't kick pebbles at rebels without schedules. So artists, rappers, people who are unemployed through usually economic injustice are fighting back against the devils, are fighting back against them, against injustice, and you never should have kicked pebbles at rebels without schedules, indicating maybe the people in power, the devils, should not be agitating people who they are disenfranchising, because that might lead to revolution. It might be the time of your liberation. That was my Bane impersonation. He's back there. This is important because we're going to get to Bane in a second. Lyrical stickler, young Riddler, makes reference to a Batman villain. Young Riddler from Chicago, the Midwest, that don't get no middler. I don't quite get this. I don't know if that's just a joke, but I think it's funny. Midwest don't get any middler. And then he goes on to maybe my favorite verse on the whole thing. And mask over the mouth, kids. So much of this album is about the COVID moment. This song starts off with talking about coronavirus. And mask over the mouth, kids. And if you don't know me, call me Rap Anthony Fauci. That blackety, grouchy mouthpiece. So, calling himself a Rap Anthony Fauci because he's so strenuously for people staying in the house and staying safe and wearing masks. And then he goes even deeper. Ramadan breath, prayer rug pointed at Saudi. Apparently he's Muslim. And there's a thing called Ramadan breath. When I was in Marseille, most of my students were Muslim. So I fasted. I did the whole Ramadan thing with them. You don't eat in the morning. You don't eat in the afternoon. You eat at sunset. You eat a date with some milk. It's quite enjoyable. But a thing happens to your body where you just get bad breath if you fast. It's just my wife knows the term. It's some scientific term. So he's making this reference. And so you're sort of trying to imagine what must it be like to have Ramadan breath in a mask? That would be terrible. But if I have really bad breath and you're breathing it in. But the prayer rug pointed at Saudi, indicating that he's doing this very, very kind of negative, bad thing here, having to deal with this, but at the same time, constantly thinking about heaven, constantly thinking about how to get out of this bad place ruled by devils. Tuck it in and square up, get reacquainted with your hairbrush, because just because Andrew is a barber, I don't know what that means, doesn't mean he's giving haircuts. So saying, just get used to having long hair because you can't get a haircut. And then, as we go, right here, how does it end? You gotta cough out. So LF95, that's the song, is like a cough drop meets Kafka meets Bane. So Kafka, that's who this is. I bought that at the Kafka Museum in the Czech Republic, in the house where he used to live. Interesting place. Mediocre museum, but interesting place. And there is Bane from a book I used to read to my son, Batman versus Bane. Bane is my favorite villain in any Batman movie. Just outstanding. Just a great villain. Kafka meets Bane. The sort of silliness of modern society, but also he's in a mask and he's calling for revolution on some level. Right? But also like Kafka who would explain the banality of existence, who would talk about the alienation that we feel, kind of proto-existentialist. And that's where Lupe Fiasco fits in between those two things. And this is where I want to really push back at the NPR thing. The thing about loving hip-hop music, and the reason I hate NPR rap fans, I agree with Punk Rock MBA. I know these people, I don't like them, is that they think that hip-hop needs their approval. Hip-hop doesn't need that approval. It doesn't need it. You don't have to make reference to Kafka to be taken seriously. And by mixing in something as silly as Bane and Kafka, much like in the Dinosaurs song, talking about Yoshi and Grimlock, while also making the sophisticated discussion of what happens to things in nature and when they're transformed by man, the high and the low, the sacred of Kafka and the profane of a Batman villain, this is always constantly mixed. And you just don't need approval. You don't need me because I'm a professor saying it's great. You need me because I am a smart dude who loves awesome music. Who loves listening to art. Do you know why I don't do any negative reviews on this show? Because I'm sick of it. What is the point of having all these people coming out and getting clicks and getting likes and getting dislikes just to make 10 cents for 10 million views to say, the Lady Gaga album is just trash. I don't like the Lady Gaga album. People ask me to review it. I don't like it. But I'm not going to get on here and trash her because she's a great artist. I just don't like her music. She's putting something out there. She is doing something man-made. She is doing something with her existence that is meaningful. And who the hell am I to come on here and try to put it down? It's pointless. It's useless. It is against art. And this channel is about art. I want good art. I want to celebrate good art. I want you to like good art. That's what I want. The world is filled with negative morons who feel stronger and smarter than the thing that they're reviewing. Because, oh, this is uncreative. This is uninspired. I know what this is a reference to. Therefore, I'm smarter than it. Therefore, it's bad. That's not the point of this channel. If you want to check that out, there's a ton of bad channels out there that just wreck things and say how bad they are. That's not what this is about. I promised you I'd go off on Punk Rock MBA. I was lying. I'm not going to. It's a good channel. It was a good video. And to be fair to him, the thing that I said that he took was, if you like hip hop, you must listen to this album. And I know, I'm a professor. I look like a professor. I talk like a professor. I am a totally fair target. It is totally fair to take me out of context as one of these NPR people. So, you know, if you want to, I wouldn't mind if you went and clicked on his video. I'll put a link up here and just sort of said, hey, I like Professor Skye's videos too. You know, because I responded to him and he responded back like, oh, hey, I didn't mean to insult you. I'm cool. He's a cool guy. It's all good. I'm not the only person who uses an advanced degree to lend my reviews some air of authenticity and authority. Punk Rock MBA, Professor Skye, PhD. Okay. Well, anyway, for next time, I just want to say the album ends with him giving credits to everybody who did everything on the album. He says, I wrote the lyrics, this guy did the verse, did the art, Virgil Abloh did this, did that. He ends it with describing who made this man-made process. And he ends it how I will end it. Stay in the house. There's the camera.